St. Berkman's Research Committee and IQAC of SB College. Since this is an online program and the participants are eagerly waiting for the technical session, I'm sure definitely I should not make an elaborative welcome speech. Anyway, let me welcome the dignitaries, participants. We have with us Dr. Benny Matthew, the Vice Principal of the College, for valedictory address. Sir, on behalf of this August Assembly, let me extend you a cordial welcome. Dr. Joe Prasad Matthew, the Director of SB College Research Committee, is the coordinator of this program. He is with us to make an evaluation of the last sessions and to propose the vote of thanks. Dear Joe Prasad sir, participants and organizers, a warm welcome. As we all know, today we have with us a personality, Dr. Anthony Joseph K, to lead a session on instrument validation. Sir, on behalf of the organizers and participants, let me extend you a cordial welcome. Participants, you are the beneficiaries of this program. I wish all the success to all my dear participants, and I welcome all my dear participants to this online webinar. Let me remind. Thank you. Now let me invite Dr. Benny Matthew, the Vice Principal of the College, for valedictory address. Sir, please.
Thank you, Dr. Binu. And thank you, Dr. Joe Prasad, for giving me this chance to speak in the valedictory section. Distinguished resource person of the day, Dr. Anthony Joseph K, my own colleague. Coordinator of the program, Dr. Joe Prasad. The comparer and the master of the ceremony, Dr. Binu Joseph. Teachers, scholars, students, and participants from all around the world. Good afternoon and warm greetings from St. Berkman's College. At the outset, let me congratulate the organizers, the research committee, and the IQAC of the college for undertaking this academic endeavor during these days of pandemic, focusing on various aspects of research. As you all know, research has three dimensions: general, social, and personal. By general, what I mean is the generation of knowledge, creation of knowledge through an in-depth study of the subject. I'm not going to elaborate because I am running short of time, I know. And at the social realm, it is the benefit of research should reach the community, or what we call the next stage of research is extension. And research has, of course, another dimension also, that is the personal dimension. For example, the career advancement, the improvement of knowledge, and the degree we get, all these things are the personal dimension of it. And in a research, writing is, of course, a very important part. You have all heard the saying, publish or perish. But before publishing itself, there is the writing part. And I understand that this webinar was focusing largely on writing research papers, the ethics of writing, or how to write a good research paper, how to get it published, etc. And about writing, I am reminded of a quotation from Francis Bacon in his essay of studies, where he says, reading makes a full man, conference a ready man, writing an exact man. So writing is all about exactness. I'm sure that all the distinguished speakers, again, I'm very happy that most of them are either my former colleagues or present colleagues, because I know Dr. Kuruvilla Joseph is there in the list. Dr. George Varghese is there, and my present colleagues, our beloved Dr. Anthony Joseph K is there, and Dr. Joseph Scaria. So 4 of these resource persons are from our own college, from my own college, and I am very happy and proud about it. And I make use of this opportunity once again to congratulate the organizers and thank them on behalf of St. Berchmans College. So go ahead, all of you, go ahead with your academic pursuits. I wish you all the very best, and I eagerly look forward to the lecture talk by my colleague, my friend, Dr. Anthony Joseph K. Thank you all.
Thank you, Benny sir. Dr. Joe Prasad Matthew is the coordinator of the 7-day international webinar organized by SB College. He is the present director of research cell of SBC. Actually, organizing this successful program goes to this person, Dr. Joe Prasad Matthew, for presenting the evaluation of the last sessions and to propose the vote of thanks to the participants. Sir.
Warm greetings to all the participants. Respected principal, speaker of the webinar, Dr. Anthony Joseph, Vice Principal, Dr. Benny Matthew, Benny sir, colleagues, students, researchers, and teachers from different institutions all around the world. Today is the valedictory session of the webinar. I stand here to talk on a few words of thanks to all who cooperated and helped in conducting the webinar series successfully. To name a few, my profound gratitude and thanks to Principal Dr. Jacob Matthew, Vice Principals Reverend Father Reggie Platotam, Dr. Benny Matthew, Reverend Dr. Jose Tektepuram, and IQSC Coordinator Dr. Joychan Manuel for the valuable support and participation in the program. I extend my sincere thanks to all speakers of the webinar from day 1 to 7, namely Dr. Suresh Sipillai, Dr. Justin Paul, Dr. Kuruvilla Joseph, Dr. George Varghese, Mr. Jasmuddin, Dr. Joseph Scaria, and of course today's speaker, Dr. Anthony Joseph K. All these talks were enlightening and thought-provoking sessions. All the participants are well appreciated all the presentations done by the speakers. My heartfelt thanks to members of Research Committee and IQSC and all faculty members of the college in contributing towards the smooth conduct of the webinar. A special thanks to my colleagues, Dr. Philip Lito, Dr. Robin Philip, IQSC staff member Jobin, Mr. Prinu and Tojo for their technical help in arranging the webinar effortlessly. Thank you and wish you all a wonderful session today. Over to Job, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, dear participants, as you all know, today we have with us Dr. Anthony Joseph Key to deliver a session on model development and validation for research in social science using primary data. Joseph Key is a senior faculty and former head of the Department of Research and the PG Department of Commerce of SB College, Chennai. In addition to his post-graduation in commerce, He has a doctoral degree and MPhil. He has already published several research papers in national and international journals. At present, 6 scholars are doing research under his guidance. He has led several sessions on customer relationship management, banking, finance, research in various international and national workshops and seminars. He has been the coordinator of IQVIA. Few years back, he got a major project from UGC. No doubt, he is the apt person to lead the final session of the 70 international webinar organized by IQVC and Research Committee of SB College. Sir, once again, I welcome you to this gathering. Thank you.
Hello, my dear friends. First of all, I would like to thank all those who have worked behind this international webinar. The coordinator of research, Dr. Prasad Matthew, and the principal of our college, Dr. Jacob Matthew, and all other authorities were instrumental in organizing a program like this. While going through the list of those who have made presentation, I'm very much proud because very eminent professors from different institutions have made their presentation, and I'm also invited to make a presentation. Actually, I am making a presentation based on a technical aspect of research, model development and validation. So before talking something about the model development and the validation process, I would like to introduce before you some of the research projects where I have recently some collaborations. One is a UGC-funded major research project, interlinkages between financial capability and financial well-being of BPL households in Kerala. It is a socio-economic, psychology-related topic. Why I am introducing a topic like this before you is because I want to convey you what is a research model and how research topics can be made out of the thinking process. Another research project is my research project, that is impact of customer relationship management orientation and relationship strength on the brand level performance and customer commitment in commercial banks. My dear friends, look at these two topics. In the first one, we are actually studying financial capability and financial well-being. We are looking at how financial well-being of the BPL households are being influenced by the financial capability. So we have two different constructs, namely financial capability and financial well-being. And also we have to study the various factors influencing the level of financial capability and financial well-being of households in Kerala. So that is the kind of relationship we are actually studying. In the next one, we are studying the impact of customer relationship management orientation and customer relationship strength on branch level performance and customer commitment in commercial banks. Actually, this is a twofold study. It involves two different phases. First of all, I have studied the relationship management orientation among the branch level managers of commercial banks in Kerala and tried to establish a link with the branch level performance. So here, relationship management orientation, how relationship management orientation influence the branch level performance of commercial banks in India was actually studied. That is the first part. The second part, I have the customer relationship management strength of the customers and its influence on customer commitment with their respective banks. So these are emerged out of two different surveys. Okay, now another one is a study by a student of mine, financial literacy, financial disposition, and financial well-being of women in Kerala. From my viewpoint, this is a wonderful study if carried out properly because we are concentrating on very important aspects: financial literacy, financial disposition, and financial well-being. More than that, we are studying about women. That's a great topic, can be done very well. Another is regarding the antecedents of information effect of word of mouth in motion picture industry. This is a study with respect to the marketing, especially refers to cinema. A different topic which I love because word of mouth is the cost-free advertisement enjoyed by excellent organizations. Here we are studying about cinema, so my interest goes up. So these are some of the studies I have introduced before you because you guys, some of them may be research guides, some of them may be doing research, some of them may be planning to do research, some of them may be postgraduate students. So you get an opportunity to think about studies in these lines. So that's why, and more than that, there are something related to research models in this particular presentation. So I would like to tell something about how do we arrive at research problems. I have already shown before you some research problems. So naturally arise a question from or in the minds of people who are not so familiar with research. How do we arrive at these problems? The answer is in-depth, dedicated, and smart reading. In-depth, dedicated, and smart reading is the only one remedy or only one way by which we are able to come up with good research problems. Technically, we call it as review of literature. When I say about smart reading or dedicated reading or in-depth reading, it may be related to review of literature. Actually, there is a confusion in the minds of the students and researchers. What is this review of literature and at what stage review of literature starts? Actually, review of literature can be a part of the research thesis. But what I mean about review of literature is in-depth reading and understanding of all theories, all research works, all books related to the study which we or the subjects which we actually likes. So what is its role and significance? In order to get an idea about why this review of literature is so important, naturally we have to go back to some questions usually raised by the researchers. Researchers themselves may raise some questions in their mind while going through the research process. What are those questions? One question is, we have to ask some questions in order to make us capable of doing a research work. That's what I mean. We have to ask some questions to ourselves. In our mind, we have to ask questions to ourselves. The first question is, do you know the history related to the area of research? If I'm doing a research in a particular area, say for example, I have done my PhD in customer relationship management in banking. My question is, the question to be asked by me should be, do I know the history related to customer relationship management in banking or in marketing? That's very important. That means I must know the history. When I say about history of the area of research, what does it mean? It means who all are the major researchers in this field, who have contributed to this domain. What are the journals actually publishing standard articles in my area of work? What are publications are paid? And what is the practice related to my research? So these are to be understood by a researcher. That means that while questioning this, while generating a question like this, that I mean when you as a researcher should raise questions and you should be satisfied your level. And I know something about the history related to my research. That level of satisfaction is very important for any researcher. Another aspect is familiar with all theories related to my study. Am I familiar with all theories related to my study? In social science, everywhere we can see some theories. Say for example, if you are, this is the period of mega sales in internet portals, Flipkart, Amazon, and so on. People are rushing for some products. People feel that some of the products will be out, sold out. We call it as fear of out. That's a psychological phenomenon. Whenever we do a study, we should be familiar with all theories, not only directly related with the area of research, but also related in all related areas. Hopefully, I know some researchers who are extensively searching for all theories related to their areas of research. Let's say hope. Okay. Another is coming to very specific about the research topic. Am I clarified, or am I sure what is my research problem and what are my objectives? After doing an extensive research, making a research extensive review literature, actually the researcher should have a very clean idea about what is the real research problem before me. If that is clear, everything is clear. The research problem should be known to the researcher without any ambiguity. There should not be any questions. There should not be any doubts regarding what is the research problem you and me are going to explore. And if you have the research problem with you, you will be very clear about what are objectives of the study, because objectives actually emerges out of the research problem. And you should have a good understanding about the type of study, the methodology, and the tools of analysis. You have to ask, am I familiar with the type of study I'm doing or I'm going to do, the methodology that can be adopted at a particular situation in my study, and the various tools that are to be applied. Some of you may think that these can be identified on a phase-by-phase basis. That is not at all acceptable for any standard research work, because these are actually connected. Why? Because I'm actually speaking about a research which is based on primary data. When we are doing a research related to primary data, you should have clarity of idea about how to achieve each and every objective of your study. Clarity means clarity regarding the methodology, the tools of analysis, and so on. It is because while making a research instrument, you have to make the instrument in accordance with your methodology, in accordance with the tool you are going to apply at the end. Statistical tool may be applied only at the end, but you should see exactly what tool you are going to apply at the time of analysis, even at the stage of framing and finalizing the research instrument, that is the questionnaire. That's why, after conducting a proper review of literature, you have to sit down and ask all these questions to yourself. And if you are satisfied, you can start making the research instrument. Otherwise, it will create some sort of problems. That's why I'm speaking about the research instrument is very important. That actually decides the quality of your research work. So these the questions to these answers are very important. Don't compromise on any of these questions. Okay, I would like to show you a research model. Actually, this is a part of a research model done by me. This CRMO is Customer Relationship Management Orientation. There are 5 different antecedents. Actually, they are the components of CRMO. That is mutual trust, communication, bonding, shared value, empathy. These are the antecedents of customer relationship management orientation in banking. So while going through, you can see some lines are connecting the circles. That actually shows the relationship. Trust is connected with communication. That means trust and communication are related. Trust is connected with bonding. That means trust and bonding are related. And all the components or all the factors are coming to customer relationship management orientation. That means all these are influencing the customer relationship management orientation in a bank. All these are influencing. So, if you think from the point of view of a statistician, you can infer something out of this picture. If you have some basic idea, basic understanding about statistics, you can see, you can interpret something. When trust and bonding are connected, that means trust actually contributes to bonding. That means more the trust between two people, the bonding will be more. These are positively related. Likewise, and you see all arrows comes to customer relationship management. Here I hypothesize that relationship management orientation is dependent on all these 5 components. So when I say relationship management orientation is dependent on the orientation in trust, orientation in personalized communication, orientation in bonding with customers, orientation in empathy to the customers, orientation towards shared value. These are actually influencing relationship management orientation. So when I say something is being influenced by the other, we have a statistical tool for studying about that. What is it? It is actually the regression. The regression analysis can be used for studying this relationship. Okay, there are 5 different components. We call them as independent variables. Trust, communication, bonding, empathy, and shared value are here independent variables. And the customer relationship management orientation is the dependent variable. That is, CRM depends on all the 5. Okay, this is actually a model, a statistical model. So this model is actually not complete. Look at the new addition. This MBO represents mass banking orientation. Mass banking orientation. You might have heard about or studied about mass marketing. When we take the concept of mass marketing to banking, introduction. I have introduced one more component, that is mass banking orientation. In marketing literature, there is a well-developed concept called mass banking, mass marketing, which is borrowed from marketing to the banking. This is actually related to bank marketing. The study is related to bank marketing. So the mass banking orientation simply similar to mass marketing. The concepts of mass marketing are applied in banking domain. In case of mass marketing, the marketers or the producers produce some commodities and will offer before the consumers. There will not be, or there may not be much product differentiation. There will not be differentiated customer treatments, customer care programs, and so on. Before the banking sector reforms in India, in case of public sector banking companies in India, we were actually following mass banking. That means a large number of customers were allowed to deal with banks, and almost all of them were treated equally. The bank staff were actually not able to identify who are valuable customers and so on. So many of the senior bank managers and officers were in that orientation at a particular point of time, not now. Now the bank officers are well familiar with the differentiated customer treatments and so on. So I have included mass banking orientation in this model. Actually, there is an inverse relationship between relationship management orientation and mass banking orientation. And I put this for 2 different purposes. One is, I have this particular concept, if introduced properly, can be used for my construct validation purpose, which I will explain to you later. And more than that, since some of the bank managers were in were actually practicing the mass banking principles, that was actually influencing the business performance and relationship management orientation. And my study is actually not complete. I have some outcomes for customer relationship management orientation. I have predicted some outcomes for customer relationship management orientation. They are cross-selling effectiveness, customer retention, growth in business, and growth in profit. These are considered to be the outcome of better customer relationship. These are actually positively related, or these can be influenced by the relationship management orientation. I have perceived a positive relationship between CRMO and all these outcomes. When I say I have perceived, on what? You can ask the question, on what basis you have perceived? I have perceived on the basis of the theory available, or the literature available. Many studies across the globe identified that better customer relationship management orientation can positively influence cross-selling effectiveness, customer retention, business growth, and growth in profit. So that's why I want to check whether this is working in banking sector in Canada. Okay, now this is considered as a full-fledged complex research model. Okay, I would like to move to another part. Look at this statement. Branch level performance of commercial banks depends on the level of CRMO of branch management. The picturized research model is put in a sentence. This is also a research model. There is no picture, but it is given in the form of a statement. Those who have studied research methodology and quantitative techniques, especially the hypothesis testing procedure, you can smell the application of a very good statistical tool here. Branch level performance depends on the level of CRMO. That means branch level performance is dependent on CRMO. That means we can have a simple regression model here. When I say about model can be represented in the form of a picture, or can be stated as a simple regression hypothesis. This can be a hypothesis. This is the researcher's alternative hypothesis. So this can also be a research model. Now, another, financial well-being of women belonging to BPL category in Kerala depends on their financial capability, mediated through the level of involvement in the activities of neighborhood groups. Understand it very properly. Financial well-being of women belonging to BPL category in Kerala depends on their financial capability, mediated through their level of involvement in the activities of neighborhood groups. We can break this into different parts. This is a research model. At the same time, this is a regression model. Okay, we can say that financial well-being of women belonging to BPL category in Kerala depends on their financial capability. That's one. Then one more thing is added, mediated through their level of involvement in the activities of neighborhood group. Why this is being included or incorporated? This mediation effect is being included because while going through the studies in financial well-being and financial capability, there are n number of evidences showing that financial well-being is being influenced by financial capability, financial literacy, and so on. There are evidence across the globe. Studies are conducted in America, in England, in African countries, in Asian countries, and so on. But as a researcher, I feel that there is something special with respect to Kerala as far as neighborhood groups are concerned. Neighborhood groups are playing a wonderful role in the development of women in Kerala. So several studies are being published by international experts in the field of in this field. So I want to put a mediation effect on this. So a researcher should explore the theoretical aspects available or the theory published which is readily available, and should look at the floor where you are standing, the place where you are standing, the culture of the place where you are standing, and you can add something more with a special reference to or with a special importance to the area where you are doing research. So this is considered to be a good hypothesis or a research model. Another one is, I'm writing a study related to migrant laborers. Financial self-efficacy of inward as well as outward migrant laborers depends on their financial discipline and self-esteem. This study is with special reference to Kerala. We have inward migrants. People from North India are coming to Kerala for working. They are now called as inward migrants. And our people are going to Gulf countries as migrant laborers. We call them as outward migrant laborers. So financial self-efficacy of inward as well as outward migrant laborers depends on their financial discipline and financial self-esteem. This is a multiple regression model. So when we say about research model, it can be in the form of a chart, or in the form of a picture, in the form of a regression equation, or in a simple statement. Okay, when we speak about research model, what is actually a research model? Research model is actually a representation of the theory. Theory dealing with the relationship between variables. That is what the research model is concerned. Sometimes the research model or the theory may not be rooted in the academia. Sometimes it may be from experience, observations, and the phenomena, recent phenomena like pandemic and so on. So there is opportunity to develop a research model out of the current environment. So also, okay, we are coming to more technical aspects. I would like to introduce before you a scale for measuring propensity to trust. This is actually a psychological scale. Propensity to trust, that is tendency to trust. We are actually, many people in doing research in marketing, commerce and so on are measuring trust. There is another concept called propensity to trust. Propensity to trust of all human beings are not similar, not uniform. Even if the environment are similar, the chance to trust of two persons may differ. That is also important in measuring the level of trust. So, I am coming up with a scale developed by Hansberger and Cons, published in 2010. This is actually shown before you to explain how a scale is being used for measurement. I have no contribution in this scale. This is being actually developed by Hansberger and Cons, published in the year 2010. 4 different statements are actually being used for measuring the propensity to trust. And if you look at the statements, you can see a second statement with a red letter R. That means that statement is to be reversed, or the observations in that statement should be reversed. Why it is to be reversed? If you want to understand exactly why this is to be reversed, you look at all other statements. When I am depressed, I look for friends who can prop me up. Who will think like this? Who will do like this? When I am depressed, I look for friends who prop me up. This is done by a person who has the chance to trust others is high. I am interested in the opinion of other people about my problems. This kind of thinking is applicable only in case of a person who has the tendency to trust others. and it's difficult for me to take a decision without getting advice. This is the extreme case of propensity to trust. But look at the second one. I keep my problems in. Whenever there is a problem, it is kept inside. It will not be revealed to anyone. Why not reveal? Because I can't trust others. So all the three statements are positive statements which can be used to measure propensity to trust, but this is a negative statement. So whatever the observation given by the respondents are to be reversed. And then you have to find the value of the scale propensity to trust. So how to find the value of this scale? Say for example, if I'm actually filling a questionnaire with this instrument, when I'm depressed, I look for friends who can prop me up. I strongly agree to this statement. Strongly agree. I keep my problems in. I strongly disagree. I'm interested in the opinion of other people about my problem. Actually, I agree, not strongly agree. I agree. It's difficult for me to take a decision without getting advice. I disagree. So you look, in the first one I have given, I have marked strongly agree. In a scale like this, for one strongly agree, 5 is the score. For agree, there is 4 is the score, and neutral 3 is the score, disagree 2, and strongly disagree 1. So for the first statement, my score is actually 5. 5 is my score. And in case of I keep my promises in, I strongly disagree. Actually, the score is 1, but this is to be reversed. Reversed means 1 should be converted to 5, and 2 should be converted to 4. 3 should be there, and that is the kind of marking. So for strongly disagree, the score is 5. I'm interested in the opinion of other. The third statement, I have agreed, so my score is 4. And for the last one, I have disagreed. I disagree, so the score is 2. So in a summated scale, the score will be 16. Am I right? It is 16. 5 plus 5 plus 4 plus 2 is 16. This is what we call as summated scale. The sum of the various statements is taken for measuring a particular concept. For me, the score is 16. There are actually 2 different ways for presenting this. You can keep this 16 as 16 itself, or can find the average. Actually, there are 4 statements. For the 4 statements, you got 16. So for on an average, you will get 4. So out of 5, my score is 4. Out of 5, my score is 4. Likewise, you have to find the scores of all the respondents filling your questionnaire. Actually, we are not calculating these. These processes are done by the statistical softwares, but you should be familiar with what is happening. So in this way, you can find the value of a particular scale. Okay? So we are moving on to another very important aspect. Another case is regarding as far as the concept development or the construct development is concerned. There are actually 2 different cases. Sometimes there may be a well-developed theory dealing with a particular phenomenon. I have already told you there are 5 different components or antecedents of customer relationship management orientation. From where I got it? In the field, in this field, have already established it. Sometimes there may be some other people coming up with some more components. Out of that, I have selected on a rational basis. Readily available constructs are available for making research. That is, there is well developed theory. But in some cases, you may not have a readily developed theory or the constructs influencing a particular phenomenon may not be available. Say, let me give an example from my own research problem. You know that people in Kerala have bank accounts with different commercial banks. Say for example, I have a savings bank account with State Bank of India. At the same time, I have an account with Punjab National Bank. I have a bank account with Federal Bank. So naturally, when somebody asks, which one is your primary financial service provider? Which bank is your primary financial service provider? I have to answer it. Not only to answer. Actually, this will reflect from my behavior related to bank. When I want a bank loan, which one I prefer? That depends on my choice of primary financial service provider or primary banking service provider. Suppose if I am in need of a car loan, where shall I go? Or which bank is to be approached? Out of 3 different banks where I have accounts, where shall I go? That's the question. That is being influenced by so many factors. I have gone through the literature. I have gone through extensive literature survey, and I found more than 60 variables identified by different researchers regarding this particular phenomenon. And I have compared all the variables identified by people, and at the end I have limited the number to 29 because some of them were stated in different ways but meaning are same. So reduced the number. Here is the skill and expertise of a researcher to be applied. You have to apply your skill. You have to look at 2 factors noted by or pointed out by 2 researchers, whether they are one and the same. If both of them are same, please don't use both. Use only one, which is most appropriate. Okay, so I have 29 variables influencing this particular aspect. So with this 29, how is it possible for me to do a research? It's very difficult. So I'm actually trying whether I can make some constructs out of this. Can I consolidate some of the factors with similar features? So I have gone for a factor analysis. You remember, whenever there is the absence of a strong theory saying different components or saying different antecedents of a particular phenomenon, then you are expected to go for a factor analysis. Okay, that is a very important learning. So all these factors are actually put into factor analysis, and I got something like this. Okay, that means 29 factors were reduced into or decomposed into 4 different components. 29 variables were decomposed into 4 different components. There are some statistical values like a percentage of variance, cumulative, initial eigen values, and so on. You have to refer some standard textbooks so to understand. It needs a lot of time to understand the concepts here. And you look at the cumulative loadings at the end, 85.621. That shows 85% variation can be explained with the help of classifying the 29 variables into 4. That means a good size of the variation given in the or identified by the researcher can be put in all the 4 factors. So we can apply this particular 4 different factors for further analysis in place of 29. So 29 variables are subdivided into 4 different components. So the factors influencing the choice of a primary financial service provider is influenced by 4 different components. That is the initial observation made by a researcher at present. We need more information for finalizing it. This is the kind of information available at present. So before that, we may have a sampling adequacy test and so on. So that is also very important. Now it is not so relevant. That's why I'm not talking about that. So come, the first factor after analysis, I have the first factor. Factor number 1, A, B, C to J. You look at the component 1. We can take or we can choose the item with the highest eigenvalues or factor loadings. Here you can see all the factor loadings are from 0.831 to 0.988. The minimum factor loading required for including a particular variable in a component is 0.4. Minimum factor loading required for including a particular variable in a component is 0.4, suggested by well-established researchers. So here, if you look at this first component, you can see all the values are greater than 0.4. So these are comfortably included in factor number 1. You can look at component 2, 3, 4, where all values are lower than that in case of component number 1. That means all these converge into a particular component. All these items converge into a single factor. Okay, now look at the items here. Comfortable seating arrangement, good interior decoration, neat, clean and spacious branches, number of cash counters, rush-free environment, enough parking space, excellent mix of human beings and technology, customer-friendly atmosphere, easy access. You look at the nature of the items coming under this factor. Large majority of items are related to the tangibles suggested by Parashuraman and Sidmal in their model service quality. In marketing, tangibles is a very important or very well-established phenomenon. All these are coming under almost all, not all, almost all, majority are the tangibles. Why we prefer a bank? If you want to prefer a bank, we need clean, spacious branch, more number of cash counters, rush-free environment, parking space. These are physical facilities. Majority of them are physical facilities the customers normally expect. So I called it as tangible. You remember, researchers, you all remember, it is the responsibility of the researcher to name it. Nobody else will come and name it. You are to name. And on what basis? On the basis of your knowledge in the theory in which or the area of your research. Okay, now we are moving on to factor number 2. So look here. High-speed, excellent e-banking facilities, high-speed, clean ATMs, fully automated environment, always working ATM. Then knowledge of staff regarding operations, readiness to give real-time service, presence of dynamic manager, then skill of the staff to deal with technology. These almost all the statements are related to technology. So I have named it as real-time service or tech-savvy environment. So better technology influence the decision of a customer in choosing a primary banker. That is the inference. Then third factor is fast redressal mechanism, positivism. Actually, this can be the confidence in the system or that level of trust. Can be look at third one. All are having values more than 0.4. Okay, going on to factor number 4. Factor number 4 actually presence of staff who know me, readiness of the staff to speak to me, caring and helping mentality of the staff, staff with the ability to understand my needs, listening capacity of the staff. All these are related to the staff. So it is a staff-related factor, especially the caring mentality. I call it as caring mentality of the staff. So from 29 variables, we have identified 4 different factors where it is being applied. It is applied where there is no well-defined theory for explaining different components influencing a particular aspect. So that is the first thing I want to tell you. You can do it. Whatever be your area of research, you can wonderfully do it. But while making questionnaire, you should be very, very careful. Okay. So when an accepted theory is available, okay, when a well-accepted theory is available, so you go back to my model, where there are some components for CRMO, there are some outcomes for CRMO. So that is based on that model is based on a theory. I don't want to go for a factor analysis. It's well-established theory, establishing what all aspects are included in trust, what are included in bonding, and how these components are related. And then, if you are not satisfied with the scales developed by researchers, develop your own scale. That's also very important. Suppose if you are not actually, hello, you are not actually coming with the ready-made theories available. If you are applying the scale developed by somebody else, or making a mix of the statements for making the scale, you remember you are to make a survey in your culture or the place where you are going to do this, and you have to do the reliability analysis for ensuring that the instrument is suitable, the culture in which you are conducting research. That's very, very important. So I'm moving on to the reliability very fast, how reliability analysis is to be done. I don't want to tell you extensively about what is reliability and so on. These are actually available in standard textbooks. So reliability actually refers to the extent to which a scale produces consistent results. That means when measurements are made in different places at different time periods, if the scales are able to give consistent results, such a scale is considered as a reliable one. Such a scale is considered as a reliable and a consistent one. Actually, the accuracy is being influenced by systematic error and random error. There are 2 different types of random error. So reliability is assessed by determining the proportion of systematic variation in a scale. You don't want to worry about such things. So there are 3 different approaches for assessing the reliability, that is test, retest reliability, alternative forms, and internal consistency methods. These are the three different approaches for assessing the reliability of a research instrument. In case of test reliability, actually a test is being, or a survey is being conducted in a particular place. After some time, the same survey, after making some light modifications in the questions, may be done. And if the results are showing the same thing, then the instrument is considered as reliable. Then, in case of alternative forms, in place of one form, another form with same meaning may be provided, so that you can assess the reliability of the instrument. Now we are dealing with internal consistency and reliability. There are basically two different mechanisms for assessing the internal consistency and reliability of a research instrument. The first one is the split half reliability, and the second is Cronbach alpha. Actually, Cronbach alpha is being extensively used across the globe by researchers in the field of social science. Okay, so what is the split half reliability? The instrument is being divided into two halves. Say, for example, if there are 30 statements in a particular instrument, first 15 and last 15 may be divided into two parts, and then the survey is being conducted and the scores are being compared. That means the correlation of the scores are being taken. So when the scores are highly correlated, the first 15, the results of the first 15, results of the second 15 are being highly correlated. That means the instrument is highly reliable. That is what split half means. Split half means dividing the instrument into two parts, conduct the survey, and then compare the scores, calculate the correlation coefficient. When correlation coefficient is high, normally the reliability is more. But in many cases, we are actually applying Cronbach alpha. Cronbach alpha actually ranges from 0 to 1. So remember, there is a standard for that. Benchmark is, that is the minimum requirement is 0.7. The Cronbach alpha of a scale, the minimum Cronbach alpha for a scale required is 0.7. This is not my opinion. I have given the references. And one more thing is related to this Cronbach alpha. Item to total correlation are being calculated. Item to total correlation, the minimum should be 0.3. If both these conditions are satisfied by all the statements coming in a scale, then that can be selected. And you remember, while doing this exercise, say for example, if you have 7 different statements for measuring a particular phenomenon, you know that the overall Cronbach alpha should be a minimum of 0.7. Suppose if the Cronbach alpha for your scale is 0.85, then there will be 2 more items there. That is the item to total correlation for all the statements. The minimum is 0.3. If minimum item to total correlation is the item to total correlation is less than 0.3, that statement should be avoided. It should be eliminated. And also you look, one more thing there. There will be one more thing while analyzing your data in SPSS that shows the Cronbach alpha if item deleted. Cronbach alpha item, if item deleted, will be available in case of all statements. And if any of the Cronbach alpha is greater than the common Cronbach alpha of the scale, that item also should be deleted. And again, you are to repeat the process and find the reliability. That's the process to be adopted. Okay. Then we are moving on to the validation. It's actually a process to ensure that measurement error is minimum. That is, validation simply refers to the, we are ensuring the measurement made by a particular scale under two different places in two different time periods may not differ significantly. That means the error is minimum. That is what validation is meant. There are different types of validation. The first type of validation is content validity. So you have seen one scale for the propensity to trust. What does content validity mean? Validity simply refers to whether the statements given for the measurement of a particular scale, particular construct is adequate for measuring that phenomenon. Remember, whether the statements are adequate for or enough for measuring the phenomenon you are trying to measure. While measuring trust, customer trust or mutual trust, there may be 6 or 7 statements in your questionnaire. The question is whether these statements are enough for measuring that particular phenomenon. Okay, we call it as face validity. Actually, content validity is subjective. That means there is no systematic way or scientific method for saying whether content validation is proper or not. You being the researcher, with the help of experts, must decide the content validity. Okay, what I have done at the time of doing my research is, I have actually a survey of bank managers. I found some managers, bank managers, senior experienced managers having academic interest and discussed the questionnaire with them. They have suggested something more. They have advised me to avoid some statements. So I have done. That's the kind of, that is the way in which content validation is to be done. Okay, then another one is the criterion validation. When we say criterion validation, what we do is, say, from my model, I have different scales. For trust, there is one scale. Bonding, there is another scale. Communication, there is another scale. And I have connected these. So I have some expectations regarding the relationship between these variables. My expectations actually emerge out of the theory. So I can check whether the theoretical expectations are being fulfilled. If they are fulfilled, we can ensure the criterion validity. That's all. Criterion validity may be concurrent or predictive. Predictive means ability to predict something. Okay. As far as construct validity is concerned, this is very important. Construct validity is concerned, there are 3 different types of construct validity, like convergent validity, discriminant validity, and nomological validity. Remember, convergent validity is the extent to which the scale correlates with the other measures of the same construct. But I have told you, I have 5 different components for CRMO, like trust, communication, bonding, shared value, empathy, and so on. If all the components forming part of a particular construct should be positively correlated, that's the basic condition. You say that 1 plus 2 plus 3 is equal to some number. Likewise, I say that trust plus communication plus bonding plus shared value plus is equal to customer relationship management orientation. If all these are added, if I get customer relationship management orientation, all these components must be positively correlated. If you ensure that, that is what is construct validity. For this, you have to find the correlation coefficient. Correlation coefficient between trust and bonding, between trust and communication, between bonding and personalized communication and so on. You have to calculate the correlation coefficient of all the components. And discriminant validity is the extent to which a measure does not correlate with other constructs from which it's supposed to differ. If you have a construct which, as per the theory, is not at all related with the constructs, then while doing or while testing, the particular construct should not be related to or correlated with the construct under consideration. If the theory says that two constructs are not correlated, while applying the correlation analysis, the results should be similar. There should not be any correlation between such variables. And another one is nomological validity is the extent to which scale correlates in theoretically predicted ways with which measures of different but related constructs. Say, let me remind you, while I have explained my research model, I have told you that customer relationship management orientation results in better cross-selling, better customer retention, better growth in business, better profit. So whether these are related in the true sense while conducting the analysis. So the results of relationship management orientation, are they positively correlated? Okay, these are the different tests to be or must be conducted to ensure the constructive validity of an instrument. Okay, we have very limited time. Even then, I would like to tell something, just to introduce something regarding structural equation modeling, which is very popularly used by researchers, especially in the field of management, commerce, and even in economics and so on, people are using. So something, even when some model can be applied, the understanding is very important. While dealing with my model, I have different antecedents of relationship management, like trust, bonding, and five different components of relationship management. And I told you that customer relationship management orientation depends on all the five. Here, the relationship is CRMO is a dependent variable of 5 different components. At the same time, I have told you, this CRMO will result in better cross-selling, better growth in business, better profitability, and so on. At this particular stage, the CRMO becomes independent variable, and cross-selling, growth in business, growth in profit became dependent variables. While doing simple regression analysis, even if it is multiple, we can address only one at a time. That means CRMO as a dependent and all others as independent. Then another one, CRMO as independent and growth in business, cross-selling, growth in profit, and so on are dependent. But in a structural equation modeling, we can do everything in a sequential manner. That is the difference between our multivariate data analysis tools and structural equation modeling. At a stretch, you can do everything. All processes can be done in a single test. Okay, you remember a very sound theoretical foundation is very essential for structural equation model, as the entire model is controlled by the researcher. The researcher is controlling the entire model. I have shown you a diagram that is actually a structural that can be converted into a structural equation modeling because there is a well-defined theory behind it, and it is the researcher made such a relationship. You can see different varieties of relationships in different articles, different publications. In your research, you are to identify a relationship. That relationship is technically known as the theory or the model. Okay. I have already told you, SEM is the only technique that allows simultaneous equations of solving of multiple equations. So there are different stages in the structural equation model, that is defining individual constructs, developing the overall measurement model, designing a study to produce empirical results, then assessing the measurement model validity, then specifying the structural model and assessing the structural model. These are the different phases to be followed by all researchers if you are applying the structural equation model. Okay, a very important thing regarding structural equation modeling is the measurement validation. Validity must be ensured. It requires a lot of time to understand exactly how to validate the model. So I will tell something to inform you that these are the things to be learned by you in detail. Okay. So first of all, in structural equation modeling, a confirmatory factor analysis is done at the first phase, and goodness of that model is to be examined. You all are familiar with goodness of model. You have studied chi-square analysis. The same chi-square is being used for goodness of fit in the structural equation modeling. No doubt about that. But the process is different. This goodness of it indicates how well a specified model reproduces the covariance matrix among the indicator items. You write down, we are dealing with a covariance matrix, understanding of statistics, detailed understanding of advanced statistics is a very important thing for understanding the structural equation modeling. Covariance matrix. The process is to compare, specify the theory with actuals represented by data. Actually, we are comparing the theory specified. Theory specified means the model specified by you with the actual data you fed into the computer. And the difference is taken. The covariance matrix is taken. The simple principle is, if the researcher's theory were perfect, the estimated covariance matrix and the actual observed covariance matrix would be the same. If the theory proposed by you is exactly right, then normally the covariance of the actual data, that is the observed data, and the covariance of the estimated covariance matrix would be one and the same. Both these should be same when the theory is same. The simple principle is that smaller the difference between the expected covariance matrix and the observed covariance matrix, greater will be the fitness of that model. We are comparing the covariance. First of all, we have to understand properly what is this covariance. Covariance is R sigma x into sigma R sigma x into R sigma y. That is the correlation of x, that is x minus x bar into y minus y bar is the covariance. X minus x bar into y minus y bar. Okay. The minimum goodness of index to consider a model as good is 0.95. Remember, you need to achieve 0.95. Some people say a minimum of 0.9 is enough. Okay, goodness of it greater than 0.9 is good. Then adjusted goodness of it. Adjusted goodness of fit actually penalizes more complex models and favors those with minimum free paths. AGFI, whenever you read a standard article, applied structural equation modeling, you will see some values related to AGFI. If you are doing a research work, you have to report this AGFI. We have seen goodness of it. Now we have, in addition to that, we have adjusted goodness of it. Actually, what is this adjusted goodness of it? When there are more number of constructs, or when the model is more complex, the possibility for getting a goodness of it is comparatively less because of so many difficulties. Because we are actually considering chi-square for this. We know chi-square is x minus is O minus e the whole square divided by e. When there is difference between different items, when there are so many items for which you have to take difference, automatically the sum will be more. So naturally, the goodness of index will be less. Another one is the root mean square residual, and standardized root mean residual, SRMR. SRMR is considered to be the is taken as a badness of fit model. How bad your model is, that is specified by the SRMR. When I say standardized, root mean square, when we hear about it, you remember actually this is something related to standard deviation and variance. And standardized root means when there are two different models and you want to compare between these two models. The root mean square residual is not at all useful because the values are of different types. When summated scales are taken, the values may differ. So the values have to be standardized. How to standardize? You know exactly the Z transformation. You have to transform your original data into Z, that is plus or minus 3 standard deviation. Then calculate the root mean square residual. When you care about residual, what is this residual? Residual is the difference between the expected result and the actual result. That is an error term. So standardized root mean residual will give a better result. You are to report it. So RMSRM. Okay. Root mean square of approximation, RMSEA. Wherever you read with articles, you will see this statistic. RMSEA should be less than 0.1. When less than 0.1, it is considered to be a good one. Then I'd like to tell you some other measures. Don't want to give any explanation. The normed chi-square test, then expected cross-validation index, the actual cross-validation index, gamma hat, incremental fit index, normed fit index, comparative fit index, Drucker-Lewis index, relative non-centrality index, parsimony good fit index, parsimony normed fit index. These are the various tests to be satisfied for considering a particular research model as a valid one. We need a lot of time for learning these structural equation modeling and the validation process. So I have just introduced these concepts for giving you an information that you young researchers have to sit down and read standard textbooks and standard articles to learn all these. If you learn, you will be a different researcher. You can publish articles in standard journals. Okay, thank you so much for listening to me. If you have some queries, immediately we can clarify.
Thank you, sir, for the useful session. Dear participants, the time to raise queries. you may use the chat box to ask your doubts. And sir, we have one question in our chat box.
Okay.
Could you kindly explain about ordinary least square regression method?
Okay, the question once again, please. Question.
Sir,
Please explain.
okay. Sir, could you kindly explain about ordinary least square regression method and panel data regression method?
Okay, actually, ordinary least square method, in ordinary least square method, we say, for example, when we are applying a simple regression method, there will be two variables x and y. On the other hand, if we are applying a multiple regression, ordinary linear regression, then there will be more number of independent variables and one dependent variable. In case of ordinary linear regression, we assume that the variables are linearly related. If you plot the data into a graph, automatically there will be a straight line. That is, the line will be in the form of a straight line. That is y is equal to a plus bx. Is satisfied, then only we will be able to go for the ordinary least square. There are different methods for understanding exactly whether the data available with us is suitable for linear regression. You can plot the data if you are applying SPSS. You can plot the data in a graph. There is a provision for that, so that you will be able to see what is the shape of that data. If there is a straight line, the expected value shows a straight line, then you will be able to use simple linear regression. Otherwise, it is not possible. Panel data actually is being used when there are data regarding when we have different data sets regarding different countries, different time periods, and so on, or with the primary data and secondary data. If you want to combine all these and make an analysis, the panel data analysis is being applied. Okay.
Okay, sir, thank you. Sir, we have one more question raised by the same person. Kindly suggest some good reference sources to learn more about the use of regression models.
Okay. When we speak about regression models, we have a regression related to time series econometrics and the primary data. I'm actually today dealing with the primary data. If you are applying primary data, a very beautiful book that can be used for learning all multivariate data analysis is Multivariate Analysis by Black, Timothy, Anderson, and so on. There are 5 different authors. Black, Timothy, Anderson, and so on. The price is in between 500 and 600. It is now available in Flipkart and Amazon. In my life, I find this book as the most useful book for understanding multivariate data analysis. Okay, another one is, if you want to know more about theoretical aspects, we have Complete Business Statistics by Sounder Pandian. Complete Business Statistics by Sounder Pandian, that is also a very good book. All statistical aspects, practical statistical aspects are covered.
Okay, thank you, sir. Actually, these two questions were raised by Mr. Nithin John of Turkmen Institute of Management Studies.
Okay, thank you so much for raising the queries, Nithin.
Thank you very much, sir, for the details. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anthony, sir, for your valuable presentation.
Okay, thank you.
Sir, we have no.
Good evening, everyone.
Varsha, do you have some question?
No, sir.
Oh,
I'd like to propose word of thanks.
thank you, thank you, thank you.
Okay, let me invite Varsha M. Nayak
So,
to propose the vote of thanks.
so now we have reached the end of the 7-day international webinar, and I would like to take this opportunity to put my into both. So, on behalf of St. Berkman's College, I take this opportunity to propose word of thanks who have directly and indirectly contributed to this international webinar on best practices in research. At the outset, I thank from the bottom of my heart our resource person, Dr. Anthony Joseph K., Associate Professor, Department of Commerce, St. Berkman's College, for such an enlightening and thought-provoking presentation on model development and validation for research in social science using primary data. So, in this session, you taught us about the various approaches for assessing reliability, the types of construct validity, which are all a great use to us while conducting research. So, within a short span of time, you covered such a vast area with great curiosity. And the way you explained each and every concept by citing examples from your own research works, it was exemplary. So, on behalf of everyone, I would like to thank you, sir, for being with us today and providing us with a wonderful class. And my sincere gratitude goes to SB College Research Committee and IQAC for taking topics that really mattered in today's age, particularly to postgraduate students and research scholars. Last but not the least, my deep sense of appreciation and thanks to all the faculties and participants who chose to be live with us and attended this webinar with great enthusiasm. Once again, I thank you all for being with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Varsha. With this, the session is over. Thank you.